Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now today is Sunday, so you know what that means. We're going around the net with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And on the docket for today, we have stories from all the major blue chip players. We have Chase and American Express potentially adding some more restrictions, US Bank with a new credit card, and Wells Fargo with a new transfer partner. So of course, if any of that sounds interesting to you, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, wouldn't you know it, to bat leadoff, we're talking about Wells Fargo adding a new transfer partner, which is somewhat timely because we just did a Q&A video earlier, well as last week on Thursday. And so if you watch them in succession, someone had asked if I saw Wells Fargo as cashback or travel, and I said, hey, to me, Wells Fargo, especially the autograph card, is a cashback card. Well, Wells Fargo must have taken that personally, at least they watch, because they said, hey, watch this, we're adding a new transfer partner. You have JetBlue now as an option. So when you take a look at this, to make you aware, again, JetBlue's True Blue program, they're going to be a 1-to-1 ratio, which is what you want to see, and there's no minimum for transfers, and the points do transfer immediately, bringing their total to 6 airlines. So you've got Air France, Avianca, British Airways, which does cover Aer Lingus and Iberia, Virgin Atlantic, Choice Privileges. I guess it's a hotel, so we'll say 5 airlines and a hotel partner, and then JetBlue's True Blue program that we just talked about. So overall, not too bad. More options is good. We like to see a 1-to-1, so if that benefits you, awesome. If not, well, no big deal. I still think they're cashback, and I still love their cards. I want them to add to my cashback setup. But if you don't want True Blue miles, maybe you want United miles. There's a new interesting way United's getting in on letting you earn miles. They are actually following, or rumored to be following, the debit card trend. That's right, we've seen Wyndham do this. We've covered the Southwest debit card, and now United is getting rumored. This was from a Twitter user who posted these mock-ups, or leaks, I should say. I'll put it on screen for you so you can see it. I don't know that anyone would waste their time faking this. There's just no point to it. It's not nearly that good of a story, so why am I talking about it? Well, I guess you know it's not the because it's early in the show and not later. Anyways, well, what does it do? Well, you've got the debit card here. Looks nice. So earn miles for every purchase. One mile per dollar spent on United purchases. Pretty par for the course there. For a debit card, 1 mile for $2 spent everywhere else. Again, pretty par for the course. 2,500 bonus miles each year after you spend $10,000. You can somehow earn up to 70,000 miles each year on your account balance. We'll know more about that, I think, when it actually launches. Bank with confidence, of course, and then $4 monthly fee is waived. No monthly fee with an average monthly balance of $2,000, which does hurt a little bit. Normally, they at least throw a direct deposit requirement in there. I don't think there's going to be anyone who's interested in this. In the days of PayPal bill pay and being able to use, a debit card to go through PayPal bill pay to pay your credit card. Something like this could have potentially made sense, because you could, over the course of, a year, spend $10,000 paying your credit card bill. Since that's been killed, I don't really see any value here, especially having to keep $2,000 in there. That's pretty rough. So, maybe just go get the JetBlue miles from Wells Fargo, I guess. One thing we do have all the information on is US Bank's new credit card. And boy, how the mighty have fallen. Just a few short months ago, I was raving about how awesome Smartly was, their 4% card. They've killed that. It still exists, right? But it's basically dead. They've kneecapped it, the Altitude Reserve kneecapped. All their cards have been kneecapped to make room for this, the Split MasterCard. It is, in fact, a new credit card, US Bank Split World MasterCard. I don't hate the logo, the design, because it's split into different colors. Their colors, I think that's creative enough. There is no annual fee. There are no multipliers to be had because this is really a buy now, pay later card. So of course, they market this as there's no interest. 3 months fixed no fee plans is what it offers. So you buy something, you get 3 months to pay it off at a fixed fee. And then you also get 6 and 12-month options, fixed fee plans. Those will have fees, but you'll see them if you opt into them, so it's probably variable person to person. So this buy now pay later has been all the rage, and I think banks have really found people are hype. My working theory is that people are become hypersensitive to the word interest, just like very similar to account maintenance fees or checking account fees. There's a zillion people like me, a dime a dozen, talking about various things within our niche. We happen to talk about credit cards. There's plenty of people talking about general finance. They've broken down interest in all those things, and people by now know interest is bad. But the funny part is, I think they've simply learned to copy Affirm and Afterpay and PayPal's playbook and just swap the word interest for fixed fee. And yeah, the bank probably does a little bit better over time when they're charging interest, as you know, because you can be on that hamster wheel. But like, hey, we'll get you off the hamster wheel, and you'll like us more. Maybe that'll throw us more business. That's all really this is. I wouldn't do this. None of you will sign up for it. I just find it interesting more so than the card itself, the name swap. I also think it's interesting that U.S. Bank decided to launch a product directly related to buy now, pay later, instead of just adding it to features like we've seen Chase and Amex. As we're going to talk about in a second, American Express, like when you had affiliate links, you're not even allowed to call them charge cards anymore because, they're cards with flexible payment options. This is the thing you're supposed to say. But they just added it as product feature versus making a whole new product about it. So not really impressed, not much to say here. Just, U.S. Bank once at the pinnacle for 6-7 months, now launching buy now, pay later cards. So there you go. Now, speaking of the king of formerly known as charge cards, American Express, if you have one of their charge cards, specifically the Platinum or the Business Platinum, you might like going to Centurion Lounges. And if you do, if you're passing through Salt Lake City, they have a new lounge for you. So American Express opens Salt Lake City International Airport Centurion Lounge. Let's see, what do we got here for details? So Concourse B of Salt Lake City Airport. Let's see. The lot is 16,000 square feet, an outdoor terrace with picturesque mountain views, delicious food from award-winning Resi chef, featuring fresh local ingredients. You know what no one ever says, like, hey, we brought some hot and readies. You good to go? That would be amazing marketing material. Blue Roast by American Express, coffee bar, full bar with bespoke cocktail menu and wine list. I think dudes just want to get lit. I don't think they care if it's that fancy. Comfortable seating areas. Again, we're going to have you sit on spikes. I don't even know if anyone finds this commentary funny, but the press releases are always hilarious to me. So there you go. That is American Express. If you want to go to the Centurion Lounge, if you travel there, go ahead, check it out. Let us know what you think. It is, again, nice to have more options. Now, if you wanted to stock up on passes or whatever to get into the Centurion Lounge, maybe you're one of those crazy people who has a ton of charge cards. Well, there's a rumor now that American Express is lowering the cap of charge cards you can have, cards with flexible payment options, which again confuses the whole thing because which ones are those? We're basically talking about the metal ones and I guess the plastic one and the green card, right? The personal side. So there's been an update. This is from the Dr. Credit. Some folks had written in and say, hey, look, the amount of charge cards you had, it was 10, and now it seems to be 5 per or less per person on the personal side. There's no set rule. I believe American Express did confirm it was 10, and this was a few years back. So some folks maybe are running into denials or issues because they have so many. Why on earth you'd want to have? I know people do have multiple platinums, and they tell me they find value. Why you'd want to have multiple is really beyond me. I know there's ways to do in the FHR credits and all that and what you get, but that just seems. So maybe because of the limit they put on the gold card, capping the spend, there's some heavy spenders that are maxing it out and then maxing out their Amex redemptions or their transfer out. I do know there are worlds where it could work despite the fees, and maybe that's what they're trying to guard against. In something like this. So it doesn't seem to be affecting business cards yet. If it is you, definitely let us know what your experience has been with this. Again, I just find it laughable. You'd have 10. Now, if you have 10 charge cards, just let me know what you do and how you do it. Again, I know we have people who have multiples. So I'm not talking about green, gold, platinum. I'm talking about I got 3 or 4 platinum cards. I would love to know what you're up to. But you can still get into the Salt Lake Lounge. Now, if Amex is upset, Citi is striking back on these Strata Elite shutdowns. So they are shutting down some Strata Elite. So we've been following this story. This is pretty interesting. The Strata Elite came out a few months ago. Folks got it. And then all of a sudden, Citi started randomly locking cards, sending out requests for you to fill out a document so Citi can request tax returns from the IRS on your behalf. As you can imagine, that people had a lot of opinions and feelings about that, but that is their policy and that is their rule. Then last week we talked about Citi just basically sending out statements to some folks saying, hey, look, they didn't say sorry. They definitely do that. But they said, hey, look, we're just going to credit you the intro offer because and remove the annual fee, or waive your annual fee, refund it for the first year at least, because the account lock, and by the time all the documentation gets hands, like, you've likely missed out on the time to earn it. They were extending the runway from some people. Some people, other people, unlucky people, apparently they're still just getting shut down. So this was posted, I believe, on the Good Doctor. So he's saying, yeah, now Citi has completely shut out numerous Strata Elite cards by closing their accounts. We don't know for sure why, and we likely never will. But what's rumored and what folks have told me was that, if you remember, there was like the 80,000 public offer, thank you point offer. Then there was 100,000 in branch offer. And Citi branches are not super common. You would think, you can find Bank of America, Chase branches, Wells Fargo branches. They're most places. Citi, they really, really reduced their branch footprint. I think I had to go to New York when I was happened to be in New York to get a business bonus as you'd open a branch, for example, a few years back. So anyways, people wanted that link. Some folks were calling a branch and seeing if they would send it to them. They were successful. Sometimes they weren't. And as what we do is those links were floating around on the internet, and then some folks use those links and they work to let them in. So maybe if you weren't ever intended for that link, Citi is going back and saying, not so fast, get out of here. If that were the case, and that were the reason, then I would actually side with Citi on this one. Everything still stands about Citi we talked about last week, that they're still awful. No one ever has anything good to say about them. Although I've personally, knock on wood, never had a problem with them myself, to be fair. But if this was the case, then this is one of those times where, we know the risks, we know what we're doing, we know that link was intended for us, and we do it anyways. And sometimes it works out your way and sometimes it doesn't. I've done this before, not for the Stride Elite, but when Chase did the Ink Premier, for whatever reason, it was like a soft launch or something, and it was out, but it wasn't out on their website, and I found a link, which, again, the amount of people, weird, random people you trust on the internet with this stuff is crazy. I was like, yeah, sure, and it worked, right? But that link wasn't intended for me. And again, that's just if this was, in fact, the reason. I don't know that we'll know for sure, but that is the latest on that. So Citi striking back. Now, someone else striking back. This last part of the show is just a lot of strike back. So Chase, rumor, this one comes from Dan's Deals, and they were saying that it's possible that Chase may start on the Ink line, limiting applications to folks who actually have an EIN number. An EIN number is like a business, your tax identification number on the business side. Social Security for personal, EIN for business, right? And so what basically they're saying, there are indications that some banks like Chase, so it might not just be Chase, but Chase is like the headliner, of course, might stop allowing business card applications using Social Security number. These banks find more value in applications that also have a tax ID number. This is based on, again, as we said, Dan's Deal. So this would make actually perfect sense. You would still have to have a Social Security, of course, because it's still a personal guarantee, even on like a small business card. But, if I keep making pushes into businesses, you can see with these Inc. 900s, I'm pretty sure they sign up a fair amount of business. I myself get a lot of mail addressed to Profitable Content LLC from Chase, not only for their business checking account, which I would happily open. I need to wait like 2 more months before I'm eligible to open it again, I think. Then I'd happily open it, and I get Inc. 900s as well, which I just don't think they'll approve me for, so I haven't really tried. But I do get a lot. So they're clearly making a push, and others, and there's just more services to sell businesses, more transaction volume, things of that nature. But what they definitely see is many of us rolling through, as you would imagine, because we all do it, for these 900s. And so I guess I wouldn't be surprised if this were the case. This is also this is a last thing. So this is like a non-issue that could become a bigger issue. By that I mean you can just get an EIN number from the IRS website today. You could do it right this minute and have it, and it would be fine. I used to do that before I had the actual LLC. So if a bank ever says like, no, we only want to open it for real businesses, then I just give them my real business documentation. But in the past, you just get an EIN number. Like, it's fine. It doesn't even matter. So that's easily avoided, but this could be the first soft barrier they put into. It would deter some people for sure. Some people more faint of heart than others. What I would worry is that this leads them down the path of like, well, now we're only going to open them for real businesses. And again, there's nothing stopping you from filing an LLC. All they ask for, I think, is they'll look up your website. If you tell them the state you're incorporated in and you're doing it in office, they'll just look it up, right? Or you can bring out your articles of incorporation or something that you get from the state. That's enough. So you could still continue to do this. I mean, here in Michigan, it's like $50 to open an LLC and like 25 or something like that to renew it, I think, every year. It costs more in some places, but the point is that would be them starting to put in more barriers to keep people out. How many barriers are we going to see them build up to protect themselves? We've already seen them say, hey, look, you can't keep referring businesses that already have this card. We're not going to give you a referral for that. I think this is another step. As we always say, this is a small corner of the internet, but it is a very expensive one, and they seem very focused on getting business clients right now for obvious reasons. And I think, again, even if it's only a few of us, given the grand scheme of the customer base that they have, that's how many times is 900 going to add up? Plus, how many times is 900 going to lead to nowhere? Really, because my Chase cards have $3,000. They give you $3,000, it doesn't lead to anywhere. Now I've still got risk out there, on and on and on. So again, just a thought out there right now. I don't know that it's been confirmed they're doing it yet. I'm sure we'll see in the coming months, so keep an eye out for that. But anyhow, that is the news for this week. So, of course, if you liked it, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. We're posting content just like this every single week. And, of course, every single Sunday right back here with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And lastly, every single day over on profitablecontent.com, where we post news stories just like this. Plenty of credit card offers. Well, you can get them, I guess. And, of course, we have bank promotions, which for right now are probably going to, maybe one day will be the easier ones to get than just credit cards. But we've got all that for you, always linked down below. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon this week.